Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, friends and colleagues, here we are, we're still in Munich, and as we're going on through various colleagues from Munich, we're all getting to enjoy Munich even more. And now we've got a very, very special guest, Dr. Marc Wagener, and he's the Managing Director of LabCampus. And just the name itself makes people think what it is, but believe you me, when you hear what's going on here, you're going to be really impressed. So, Marc, thank you so much for coming on board.
Happy to be here.
And if I go quiet during the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, it's because I'm meditating. I've just learned from Marc how to meditate, or why I should. So, Kathy, when I get home and you see me snoring, I'm actually meditating.
It's not about snoring.
I know. So, firstly, Marc, thank you. And now, why did you agree to come on to the podcast?
Well, when I got the invitation, I looked to your website, I looked to some of the podcasts, and I really liked it. So I think it would be a fantastic experience to have a discussion with you.
Very good.
Let's see where it goes. And I think it's also a good opportunity to tell a little bit about LabCampus, what we're doing here.
100%. We had the pleasure of speaking with your CEO earlier, and also security. But this one, it depicts everything that we're trying to do. So the concept of what we're doing is getting to know the person behind the position, but also how do they get into the business and how do they bring new people into the business, which we'll come to. So how did you come into the business? What's your track record?
Well, my track record is I was pretty much shaped by my father. I mean, I have a kind of tendency for physics and mathematics, so it was quite clear that I'm going to an engineering degree. I had the chance to do an internship with AT&T Bell Labs while I was studying. Some of you may still know that. One of the biggest research facilities from the 40s on. Unfortunately, they are not really existing anymore, but that's something which is also coming to the point of what we're doing here. So from there, I studied electrical engineering. After my studies, I went to Accenture. I developed there to A.T. Kearney, to management consultancy. Then it was a little bit too much consultancy, and I went to Carl Zeiss, from there to Siemens, and now I'm here. So I think the red ribbon in my life is innovation, and innovation is what LabCampus is about.
Okay, and it's lovely. The reason I'm saying it is I've got a colleague who's also, he was with Lufthansa, he must have been at Lufthansa 35 years. His name's Frank Breuer.
Okay.
And he's actually working out in the Middle East now, where I am, and he's created an innovation lab. So I'm going to tell him all about this, and I'm sure he'll come over and he'll have a look and he'll touch base. Now, can you tell us what the overall concept is? Because obviously, connect, create, collaborate. Welcome to Germany's #1 location for innovation. So that's a tall title. Big title, right. Big challenge.
There go,
so now,
vision.
Yeah, exactly. But it's brilliant. Now, just tell us a little bit about how it started and what it stands for and what you personally are bringing to the whole concept.
Sure. Let me tell you some facts about LabCampus. So LabCampus is the new innovation campus that we are building up here directly at Munich Airport, also on the ground of Munich Airport. For those who know Munich Airport, it's the whole area when you drive towards the terminal on the left side, from there where currently the gas station is until the visitors hill.
Yeah.
So we talk about 500,000 square meters of space that we're going to develop in the next 15, 20, 25 years, depending on the demand. And we want to be a new form of innovation campus. So to explain you what the new form is, I need to go a little bit back. I said I worked a lot in innovation in the course of my career. And I've seen how innovation has changed. I mentioned that I started off my career with AT&T Bell Labs. I still remember when I drove there as a young student, 21 years old, driving to this huge building, 3,000 PhDs working there from all over the world. Basically unlimited resources. You could do everything there. This is not existing anymore. So that was kind of the traditional way to do innovation. The traditional way is put together some bright people, give them money, have a stringent project management, and sell the products via sales and service channels. So that was the recipe for success for more than 70 or 80 years.
Yeah.
So now in the course of my career, I've seen how the innovation has changed. So now we are living in a world of distributed innovation. We are living in a world where nobody knows where the next innovation will come from. We are living in a world of startup innovation. And startup innovation is nothing more than test and fail. You try it, and you fail, and the one succeeds who's best to adapt. And I worked for Siemens, I've worked for Carl Zeiss, and I know how the big companies are challenged by these new structures. So what we believe, and now I come to LabCampus, what we believe is required is cooperation.
Yep.
Nobody, no company, no person, and also no country.
Yep.
It's important to say that, not also no country, can solve the challenges alone. So we want to be a physical space where all the different parties can come together at one physical space, where they can work together, where they can get to know each other. And we want to play a very active role in connecting the people. We want to play a very active role in triggering connections and triggering also new innovations. So that's what LabCampus is about, a place where companies from all over the world can come together. And we want to be an active role. We want to help these companies, these people, to be creative and to be innovative.
Which is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've got to say the one thing, when I first met you've got a very, very welcoming face.
Thank you.
And the smile is superb. So I would imagine if you're transferring that across into the environment in the LabCampus, it's going to be very, very positive. Now, something I was really impressed with was your innovation services, the way you've done it with the insight services, setup, the visibility, the prototyping. Yeah. So for anybody now who wants to know, what do you do every day? How do you get this whole thing up and running?
I mean, we are a startup ourselves. A startup is done by you create what is called a minimal viable product. You create a hypothesis, you build something, you test it, and you adapt. So this is very much on how we work. I mean, we are a small team. We are 12 people right now. I mean, we started off with 3 people. Now we are 12 people. But we go to a step that we drive some kind of hypothesis, we test it, and then we go ahead. So take an example. This year, I mean, one of the key differentiators an airport has in an innovation world are the passengers that we have here. So we want to make the passengers part of the innovation ecosystem. We want to give the companies which are on the campus the opportunity not only develop new products here, but also to test them. Yeah. So we want to go to the terminal and make connections to the passengers there that they can test the innovations, they get a quick feedback. Because quick feedback, shorter innovation times are money. Yeah. That is what we call a terminal test lab. So here, coming back to this iterative approach, we will have a first small prototype with 2 or 3 companies. We test it first time, beginning of next year. We see how it works. We see how the passengers will react, and then we will modify. We will do it 2 or 3 times, and then hopefully we will have a final product that we can then really use, sell, and continue to go forward. But that's the way we work. It's a high uncertainty. We're in a high world of uncertainty. We don't know really what we can sell. I mean, we know there's a big demand, but we try our way to get the best offer to what the customer needs.
And which is I mean, it's fantastic. But also now the LabCampus and talking to Michael earlier about having accommodation eventually for your future employees, existing employees, to actually live and be happy there. And we were talking about medical. We were talking about all the things that you need in this wonderful Munich Airport, Munich City, Munich home. I mean, that's amazing. But that's another aspect when you see about innovation. Everybody now talks about new work. I mean, we try to also implement that here at Munich Airport. I mean, the next generation Y, and then Generation Z, which is coming, which will be in the business which is already there, but will be more coming more in the leader positions. They have new requirements. They have new requirements to their work. They have new requirements to their environments. They have new requirements. I mean, the days are over when you started work at 9 o'clock in the morning and you left at 5. We talk about work-life blending and everything. We talk about new models of collaboration also. I mean, the times are over when you planned a collaboration for 6 months, the collaboration lasted for 3 years, and then you've gone out. That's also the old world. The new world is you come together, you test something, you try something, and you see if it's working or it's not working. And if it's not, fail early.
Fail early, and then go for another one. And this is the environment we built. And this environment includes also what you mentioned, for instance, the service department. That's something, it's kind of hotel, but it's for longer stay. It has a high quality of accommodation so that people can really feel home. So you can live there from 3 to 5 days until 6 months.
Yep.
You know, that's one part of what we're going to build. We have some kind of flexible workspace offers, like what we see for WeWork or design offices here in Germany. We will have that. But we will also have all the things that the people want today, you know, gastronomy, entertainment, childcare facilities, some health facilities, maybe some pharmacies, maybe something to shop. So everything what you nowadays want to have while you work, we will have here at the campus. So it's optimally suited for the people to feel well here. So they're being creative and they can get to know each other and collaborate.
Yeah, no, it's great. And you mentioned there about childcare. I'm working at the moment with a company called Nakel Express, and they're an e-commerce and courier express company. And they're now getting quite innovative and going into solutions, logistic solutions. But the one thing that always makes me smile when I go into the office is there's a creche next door.
A what?
A creche, a nursery for the children.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know, sometimes you're in the middle of a meeting or something's going on or you're doing something and you can hear children laughing and it's a lovely thing.
Yeah, sure. But that's the world, you know, I don't know about you, but I sometimes have to go to the kindergarten, or I had to go to kindergarten when something was wrong there, or you go to the doctor because you're not having the big families, so you somehow need to manage it.
And it takes you so long back and forth.
Yeah.
But this is
and
lovely.
It brings also something, because it's also about getting new ways of thinking, new ideas, you know, new view kinds. You know, it's getting out of this narrow thinking.
No, I have to. Mohammed Al-Bayati is the CEO, so I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to say to you, do you know something?
Yeah, come to LabCampus.
You're innovating ahead of time. It's a good thing that you're doing. Now, yourself personally, so to keep yourself sharp and innovative, what do you do? What do you do in your spare time to sort of, you know, relax or wind down or get that extra oomph?
Well, I do. I try to live healthy, to eat something healthy. I try to do some sports to keep fit, and I do meditation to work something for my mind.
I knew we'd get round to that.
Well, we do.
Well, I'm after listening to you and Salem, I'm beginning to think I'm going to have to give this a little bit of a try. But seriously, on that particular subject, what genuine benefits would you say it brings to you?
Well, it's in the first place, it's about calming down. I mean, there's so much in your head, so you need to calm down, to relax a little bit, because pressure is really increasing. But if you do that really a lot, you also learn to step back a little bit. I mean, we all are kind of driven by our emotions. You know, that's something we like or something we don't like, and so there's some kind of bias. And when you practice this, you get to know. I mean, you get less into this trigger. You get less triggered by your emotions, less triggered by your biases, but you learn more to step a little bit back and look more objective to the situation. And which is also good, because you learn to keep calmer. You know, you learn to accept some things which you cannot really change, but really to focus on the things that you can change.
When this goes out, I can already see two females nodding their head, my wife and my daughter. My son, I think he's a little bit more on my side now, but my wife, my daughter will be going, Dad, start meditating. So I know what I'm going to get for Christmas now. I'll get a load of meditation books from the family.
So.
But I'm going to try it.
Now, start,
Now, when you came in and you started off and you said about you were driving up to the building and when you were 21, you know, there's so many PhDs there and everything. Who would you like to remember as being somebody who inspired you or gave you that little step up, or that coaching or mentoring? Does anybody come to mind?
Well, certainly my parents. Probably my parents. They really they set the basics. You know, they set the personality. I mean, from a professional perspective, there have always been some special persons who at specific times gave me some specific triggers, which is very good. But I wouldn't dedicate my work life to this one person, saying, okay, that is something I follow up with, or that's something I would look for. You know, but there are numerous things when you have this learning experience, when you suddenly start to see, okay, there's something I now learned how to do it. I mean, when I worked for Carl Zeiss, he gave me some very concrete ideas on also what it has to take to be a leader of a company where you have 2,000 employees. So that was something, and that way I learned from all the different persons I worked with, I learned something.
And if somebody asked you, so if youngsters wanted to come into the business and they wanted to ask you, you know, what's the magic ingredient of being a leader, and especially an innovative leader, what do you think you'd tell them? Would you have the menu?
Well, I mean, I think it is. On the one time, it is time. I mean, on the one time, it takes time. It takes experience. You know, you need to learn. You need to have been exposed to different areas to really be able to judge. And it takes also a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah,
you need to look for persons which can give you feedback, and you need to monitor yourself that you can what you can improve. So it's a continuous improvement process. Nobody's a perfect leader from the beginning, but it's a process. You need to go for it, and probably, I mean, in the end, stand for your employees. You know, you need to. I mean, you're a leader. Sure, you're a leader, and everybody turns to you. But the most which makes you valuable is because they know that you work for them, or that you stand beside them, that you are there for them.
Yeah, no, that's so important. And we spoke about like with innovation, you have to fail early, move on.
Right.
What would have been a really good learning experience for you throughout your journey coming here now to Munich? Can you recall anything that really, you know?
Well, I mean, if I look back to this, I've told you about the positions I've been in. You know, I've been 2 years with Anderson Consulting. I've been 7 years with AT Kearney while there was this kind of block for my PhD, where I've been off for 2 years. So I've run through these cycles quite a lot. So I think I was lucky that I was able to do this learning experience. If you ask myself, so there's also nothing I would do else. I mean, you always have to go back when you're in a situation. I mean, I now can say, if I would have known by that, I would have done differently, but I think that's the wrong question, because when you were at that stage, you had to make a decision, and I think based on the decision, on the information I had by then, the decisions were okay. I did.
Okay, brilliant. And like again, just hypothetically, if you were to come back in 5 years now, and we did a follow-up, what would you like to see as the results of the lab?
Well, I would like to see the first. I mean, we divided in 4 clusters.
Yeah.
I would like to see the first cluster working, the first cluster being implemented. I would like to see that what we try to do to trigger the collaboration is working. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, everybody talks about collaboration here in Germany for 10 or 20 years.
Yep.
But still, I mean, if you look at our big automotive guys, I mean, they still continue to develop everything by their own. They still, I mean, we need to stand more together. We need to work. We need to do it, not only talk about it.
Yep.
And that would be fantastic if we really had a place here where this collaboration works, and it's not only talking about it, but we really have some kind of concrete results where this has worked.
Okay, very good. And now, a question that I ask most people who come on is, if I was to speak to the family or to your 2 lads, and I said, what would you like to change in Dad? What do you think they'd say?
I don't know. That's always difficult. Well, I'm sometimes. I mean, that's not what my 2 boys would say, but could sometimes probably more big on the private side, more into conflicts. I'm not on the business side, but on the private side, I'm a what is this in English? The Waage, the Sternzeichen. What is it?
The balance.
Extremes.
The
balance.
Extremes.
Yeah, no, this is where the stars come from. Where this star constellation, which what is it called? When you have the balance, I don't know the English word. Nevertheless, I'm trying to always have some kind of bringing people together, and they may say at 1 or 2 points you could be more giving giving an edge. But that's more on the private side. That's not on the business side. On the business side, probably a lot of people would tell me that I'm too pushy.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, very good, very good. Right, now we're getting into it.
I know what I want, you know. And
Exactly. Now, and again, just on a light-hearted side, music. What would they tell me is the song that if they turn it on, Dad can't keep still. He wants to get up. He wants to boogie, do the old dad moves. What would that be?
It changes, but something then you can dance to. I like to dance.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what's the favourite song?
Oh, they change. I don't know. Can't tell. Right? No. I mean, we have been Oktoberfest here, so right through our minds go all these songs which are being played on Oktoberfest, but that's just a temporary thing.
Do you ski, by the way?
I do, but I was born in Düsseldorf, so I cannot compare myself to any of the Bavarian skiers. So I don't go skiing very often.
But it's beautiful around here, isn't it?
It's fantastic. I mean, it's Munich area, Bavaria area is really lovely. It's you have the mountains, you have the lakes, you have the great cultures. You know, I really love to be here.
And can I ask you something now? With all the plans that you've got for the airport, and we were talking to Michael about, you know, a few frustrations with the train service, with the extra runway. Now, you are in such a unique position here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think other airports who've got any similarities that they could learn or they should learn from what's going on here?
Well, I think you need to. I think we need to a little bit more. We would need to go a little bit more deeper. What are really success criteria?
Yep.
You know, I mean, if you look from an innovation perspective, an airport is a very interesting place to do this. What do you need to put an innovation campus close? So you need to have the connectivity.
Yep.
So we are living in a globalized world. So in general, an airport is an optimal place for something like this. Where an airport is every airport has it. Of the leading airports which have the connection to have that. You know? Where also an airport is optimally set up because an airport is an optimal application field. When we talk about innovation, everybody talks about deep learning, Internet of Things, big data, 3D printing, all that are technical things. If you look at physical spaces where these come together, the airport is a small city and an airport is having all that. So an airport is an optimal application field for numerous applications because we have mobility, we have electricity, we have retail, we have security, we have mobility, we have health, so we have all that. That also does apply to any airport. Where it's getting a little bit more tricky is you need to have space. I mean, if you look at LabCampus, I mean, it's not a typical office park where you build the box squares and you put them together, but you need to have an open environment which is welcoming, you know, which is open, and which you're also able to do that on a broader scale. Yep. So there it's getting fewer because a lot of the airports are located in areas from the past which are now packed.
Yep.
And another important, and this is now coming to real differentiation, is you need to put it to an area which is known for innovation. So even if we talk about LabCampus, even if we talk about 500,000 square meters, it's small. If you compare it to today's innovation world, 500,000 square meters are small because you cannot have all the variety of innovation of industries. You cannot have it here. So what is required? You need to have an environment. You need to have an innovation hotspot.
Yep.
And Munich and Bavaria is an innovation hotspot. It's one of the leading innovation hotspots in Germany, especially when it comes to B2B, especially when it comes to IT, when it comes to media, when it comes to telecommunications. So we had always here companies in Munich like Siemens, like BMW, like Munich Re, like Allianz, like Webasto. Look at the companies which came here in the past years. We have IBM, we have Amazon, we have Google, we have NVIDIA, we have Fujitsu. Apple is now coming. We have GE. So Munich, and that now makes a real differentiation for LabCampus, at least for the European perspective from my side, because this combination, national, international connectivity, space to do it, and closeness to an innovation ecosystem is unique. So yeah, if an airport would have something like that, they could do something similar. But at least in Europe, I don't know anything comparable, at least in this stronghold innovation areas that we have here in Munich.
Yeah, no, me neither. I've worked in airports. I've worked all over the world, and I've visited, I can't remember how many countries now, doing audits and contracts and what have you. But I've got to say, it's such a lovely feel here.
Yeah.
I really, if I was younger, and I'm beginning to regret now why I didn't come here when I was with Lufthansa, because a lot of us were offered to come and work in Munich when it was just kicking off.
It's fantastic quality of life.
Yeah, my German would have been better, so that would have been good. I could have ordered more than just one pint of beer. But it's a lovely, lovely, lovely place, and it's a brilliant concept. Now, getting the youngsters in, and obviously now you've got a good surrounding catchment area. But I'm sure if some youngsters were listening to this now, this would really attract them to come to Munich. And what would you say to any youngster as to why they should look at Munich as opposed to any other airport? What are the USPs?
You mean Munich or in your LabCampus?
Oh, here I'm talking about the LabCampus here in Munich, but obviously you're directly linked to Munich Airport. So what would you say? And you're here. You've chosen to come here to create the LabCampus. So what would you say to youngsters as to why this is the perfect place to start your career if you wanted to in aviation or association with aviation?
Well, I would say, I mean, we want to create here a place where we want to play a role. We want to make a contribution that here in Germany and in Bavaria we can be competitive. So we want to create something new. So come here because we want to have, or we will have, hopefully we want to have here the leading companies. Yep. We want to have here being the leading people, the leading human beings. So you can meet here the leading companies of the world. Hopefully you can leave here the leading people, the people with the best brilliant ideas. You can get to know them, you can work with them together, and you can make a contribution. You can develop yourself, you can make a contribution not only for the company you will be working then for, but hopefully you will also be able to make a contribution here for the for Germany and for Europe and for Bavaria, because that is what we want to do. We want to strengthen here this specific place, Germany, Europe, and Munich, because I think that's now a bit different area, because I think we are falling behind on a global scale, and we need to come together. We need to join our forces somewhere to stay competitive to especially what is happening in Asia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I agree with that. And this collaboration, the word collaboration keeps popping up everywhere. But I also think some of the things Michael was talking about earlier and the way Munich Airport has so much control over the whole airport. So we were talking about consultants would come in readily and they'd say, no, outsource, give it to people who are specialists, it will be better. But you've taken so much holistically over here in Munich that I think that gives a great opportunity, and why you've probably got the opportunity with the LabCampus. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
And as a consultant, an ex-consultant, there's merit now in the models being, thinking differently.
Yeah, but we're not taking the real consultancy perspective, but we really try to put the company in focus. That's a bit viewpoint. I was consultant, yes, but I'm now also in the viewpoint of the company. So we explicitly also don't want to bind in the consultants too much.
Yep.
Because we don't want that this is a sales area.
Yeah.
We want that we have a combination of equal people, of equal companies, which come together to talk about their challenges and solve it. And then if we need somebody, we get this party in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, obviously you've thought to yourself about other areas that have had really successes with this innovation and stuff. Who would you use as a catalyst for change, or somebody that you think, what they've done is incredible?
Well, there are numerous places which have been successful. Frankly speaking, I'm not looking too much to them, because what we are doing here is new. So this approach we are having here, with a strict focus on collaboration, where we also will have some kind of supportive role.
Yep.
With all the settings here, I haven't seen so far. That's why I'm purpose not looking to somebody else too close, because I would lose this focus to create something new.
And originality.
So there are numerous good places which are dedicated to some kind of specific areas like healthcare or mobility or energy. So there are numerous places where you can see this. There are good innovation campuses where, for instance, which are built around companies like Siemens, or which are built around companies like Philips in Eindhoven. But this is not what we want to do. We want to have this kind of equal approach. We also will not rent too large spaces to big companies, because if I have the first building now of 32,000 square meters, it doesn't help me to have a company with 16,000 in there, because they will dominate it and everything will be adjusted toward them, and I don't have this equal exchange.
Okay, but that's good that the criteria is already being mapped out like that. So that's really good. Now another term that I found unusually, what would I say, not surprising, but I could never understand when people used to talk about disruptors. And at the beginning, it was a negative thing, and now it's a positive thing. And the way the disruptors in our industry have
everybody's
changed.
disrupting.
Everybody.
Yeah,
So, how can something that even by the way the word sounds and it's pronounced and the way it's spelt, you would think it was a negative thing. Now the negatives can become positives, and everything seems to be changing. So the rules are different no matter where you look. Now, in our industry, the disruptors and the continuing disruptors, look how they're changing the models. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, frankly speaking, the disruption is a bit kind of, first everything was strategic, then everything was
tactical,
then everything is then everything was disruptive, and now everything is digital. So it's a bit kind of wave that we've been here. But the principle which is behind disrupting is that you recreate business models.
Yep.
And you can see this in the music industry, how this has worked. You can see it. I mean, there was a complete change from the CD towards the MP3, and now we have seen the MP3 towards the streaming. And what is important is even a company like Apple didn't really manage that shift.
But the old vinyls are coming back, and now they're collectibles.
Yeah, right.
Now they're making a big issue of them, and look, we've got this vinyl there. And you think,
yeah, we do.
Happy
but
days.
This disruption perspective, this creation, something new, is something we want to do here at LabCampus. Frankly speaking, the aviation industry is not really suited for that because you still have the hardware. You still have a hardware, and it's hard to do a business model without a plane.
Exactly.
I would not consider that the aviation industry, without being too much expert in this, is really due to disruption, because you still need the physical facilities, and there will be not an Airbnb or something like this for planes. So it will not work.
But your Alibabas,
there are no private owners of planes.
But the way Amazon and Alibaba, Jolly Chick, all these parties,
it's crazy.
They are. I mean, I always fascinates me, and I can remember Amazon and books, and I'm thinking, why do they want to do that now? There's going to be no bookstores, no libraries. And what Amazon have done from the bookstore, to now, they tried something and thought, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Now,
the largest provider of data centers.
It's incredible.
Cloud services.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Absolutely amazing, which is almost like a book to a degree, but it's everything now, isn't it?
It is.
And sharing data. So again, collaboration, that's also something that people need to get used to, because there's a lot of protectionism, and
that's a bit our German and European style. We try to protect, not invented here. We need to break up that.
Yeah. Which is, well, I'm not going to talk about Brexit because it's a pain in the butt everywhere. It drives me crazy. I just don't understand it. And that's collaboration. It should be collaboration.
It should be coming together.
Yeah, but even now, the disputes and the negotiations, how can somebody not just sit there and say, what is everybody thinking of us if we can't even come to a solution? It's madness.
Well, I can just tell you, I don't understand the British. Well, I don't.
Right. Remember that now. We're gonna make note of that. No, but it's how can people at that level not come up with a solution that's acceptable?
Especially after the experience we have done now for how much?
3 years.
1.5 years, 3 years.
That's madness.
Yeah,
absolutely like madness.
Yeah.
And but I also think the whole, and again with this LabCampus and people's thoughts and focusing on collaboration. People need to start thinking more about collaborating rather than demonizing and finding conflict and things that are wrong.
Yeah, and
because that gets you nowhere.
And we need to small things. We need to start with small things.
Yeah,
I mean, this thing is now too complex. You cannot break it up. But you need to small with small things. You need to start build trust, and that's also what we want to do. We want to start with the small things. We want to bridge the small things from employee to employee and start from there. We cannot solve the big problems that have been out there for 30, 40 years, 10, 20 years, but we need to small things.
Yeah. But you must be so pleased. I mean, what a lovely, even the title, Managing Director, LabCampus. It's fantastic.
Well, we have a lot of challenges. I mean, it's not that
it's lovely. That's lovely, though, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
And anything that happens is going to be such a positive win.
Yeah. But we also have a lot of challenges, so it's not always bright, but it's we also learn.
I've got to say something now. I was just watching you smile and talk there. Remember I said to you, you reminded me of an actor. Somebody out there somewhere they've got to tell me who it is before I find out.
Okay, but not Bruce Willis.
No, it's not Bruce Willis at all. Now, what you set yourself targets, yeah?
I do.
Yeah. What sort of targets have you set yourself for the LabCampus?
You mean in long-term the vision?
Yeah. Your personal your window into your objectives.
Well, it is. If I look a long-term, 20 years ahead, then I would say to make a difference. That LabCampus had made a difference to the companies which are here. You know, to where the companies say, well, LabCampus, to be at LabCampus gave me something which I wouldn't have before. So there are some innovations, some developments. Also, I'm coming back to this place, Munich in Germany. You know, have a contribution to strengthen this area here. That would be the ultimate focus for me personally, to make a difference.
And what a great legacy! When they look back and they say, Dr. Marc.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, you asked me long term, but that would be something I would say. Okay, if there's something that would not have happened without us here at LabCampus, something meaningful with whatnot would have happened without LabCampus, then I would say that was successful.
Oh, that's great. I think it's a fascinating thing. It's brilliant, and it adds to the whole picture now, the jigsaw puzzle of Munich, and I think really it's a very special place, and people that are working here, I can't imagine if they do an airport employee survey or whatever, but I would imagine with everything that's here, it'd take an awful lot of beating. And even in the future, it's going to be even more challenging.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place.
Yeah,
I fully agree.
No, and I believe you. Right, book title. Okay, so I've come up with one. Okay, Don't Look Back, Collaborate and Do It, My LabCampus Legacy, and Then I Meditate.
Cool.
So that'll
Sounds
be
fantastic.
That'll be the little book. So that'll be the title that'll go on it. Marc, seriously, it's been an absolute pleasure. Very welcoming personality, and I'm sure everybody that comes in touch with you will be motivated to motivate themselves to come up with these innovations. So really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the great discussion.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.